This says, guys, I got my money on Texas. We will make the playoff. Well, that's not a terrible bet. I mean, if we're saying which one team will make the 12-team playoff that you've seen in the first month of the year.
Yeah.
Miami's off to a strong start, right? 3 quality wins. They've got a couple bye weeks coming up in the month of October. They play a huge game. The Saturday Texas is playing at Florida. They play at Florida State, which would be a hell of a game in Tallahassee. And, Florida State's been off the map since they beat Alabama week 1. They've turned around and played like East Texas State and Kent State. But Miami's a good one because they can even lose that game and still run the ACC with Clemson's struggles and the rest of the Atlantic Coast Conference. They go to SMU, but SMU can't stop anybody.
No.
So you feel like the U and Carson Beck and that offensive line, that defense, are probably a pretty good bet to be in. Ohio State's a good bet. But you know what? Texas Tech's a good bet. After what I saw on Saturday, I would lean into Texas Tech because, god dang, to go on the road and beat Utah and be that dominant.
Very true.
When you dominate the lines of scrimmage like they do, that puts you at a huge advantage in the rest of that conference. And then there's Texas, who, here's what I'll say about Texas through the first month. And again, if you go back to the Monday after or the week after the Ohio State game, no matter how the next 3 games have gone, the script is the script. What were the goals? To be 3-1 into your bye week.
Right.
To be healthy. And to be fresh. And I'm going to tell you, entering this bye week and coming into SEC play the following week, there is not a healthier or fresher team in the Southeastern Conference than Texas. They played 87 players on Saturday. 87 players played. Or, excuse me, in the last 3 weeks. 87 players got on the field.
That's almost the whole team.
Right. Which takes your starters off the field.
Right. Young Sarkisian came out there.
Right. And they're not getting reps. And so they're fresh. I don't know what their ceiling is. I'm not sitting here saying I know, but they're super healthy. And Sark said yesterday at the Monday news conference they're about to get a wave of players back. Well, Trey Wisner, C.J. Baxter, Emmett Mosley.
Yeah.
Cole Hudson will be back at center. All the injured guys are coming back healthy. Alex January on the defensive line. So there's a very good chance when we get to next week ahead of the Florida game, there's not a name on the injury list. Now, cross your fingers.
Cross your fingers.
Week of practice, another week of practice. But there is a strong chance because there's nobody's out for the year as far as I know. No one's been lost for the season except for go back to training camp and they lost
Kojo.
Yes. They lost one guy for the year, but that's been known. But so again, they're fresh, they're healthy, they have a good mindset. They go into the bye week with a shot of confidence from the Sam Houston game, which they're not good, but they had great rhythm offensively. They dominated. So Texas is in a good place. And the coaches behind the scenes would tell you that they feel like they're in a real good place. Like the Ohio State game was a good measuring stick and test to show them where they needed to get better.
Battle tested right
away.
They
worked toward those things, and they think they're ready to hit the ground running. Meanwhile, they're going to play a Florida team in 2 weeks who is beat to hell. They just lost their starting corner for the season. They've got offensive linemen that are banged up. They've already been through a gauntlet of games, and that's just the schedule, y'all. That's how it falls. And so, Texas has a chance to, with the schedule that they have, because everybody's mad that Texas has this easy schedule in the SEC. But, when Oklahoma and Texas both joined the conference, people don't say this enough, they weren't going to give them the same schedule. They're going to give them totally different schedules, right? Texas was going to play Oklahoma. They're going to play Arkansas and A&M. And then the other, that's 3 of your 8 games. So the other 5, they were going to give half to Texas. The other half were going to Oklahoma. That's the way the schedule came down. Now, did Texas get the favorable side of those other 5? Sure.
But it fell that way, right?
Yeah.
Because even at that point when they scheduled that, Mike Leach, God bless his soul, he was still alive, and they were 9-3 that year, Mississippi State was.
Right. And
right?
So,
that's just one example.
And Kentucky was much better when that schedule was made than they are right now. So, yes, point being, Texas is healthy. They've gotten the favorable draw, and they are healthy. They're entering an opportunity. You have to take advantage of the opportunity. You have to seize the opportunity which Texas has right now, which is healthy, fresh, somewhat battle test with the Ohio State game, and ready to go into battle for 8 games. I mean, that's really what this is about.
As it sits right now, I know it's still early, and we only care so much about the AP poll. There's 3 teams on the schedule that have a better ranking than Texas. That would be number 7, Oklahoma. That would be Georgia, and then number 9 as well, A&M technically. I mean, they're still really tough opponents on this list. You got a 4-0. No, they're not amazing, but Mississippi State, you still got to go down there. So this schedule has turned out to be a little harder than people thought probably right away. Oh yeah, Vanderbilt's number 18 in the country. I mean, that's the SEC. There's good teams everywhere.
Well, let's hear from Sark on this yesterday at the press conference. I mean, the good thing he believes is these players love football.
Yeah.
And they know what they're about to walk into. They understand, the assignment here. And listen to Sark talking about what he likes about this team and what he likes about their makeup as they head into the bye week and then SEC play.
Get them mentally prepared.
Well, I think the one thing our guys that we have in our locker room right now, we have a bunch of guys that love football and they like to watch football. And so one of the easiest things to do is turn on the tape. And when you turn on the tape and you watch overall schemes is one thing, but when you watch the particular player that you're probably going to be competing against and you see the level of player and the way they play to go with the scheme and what they're asking them to do, it usually gets our guys' attention. Like I think back to last year, I remember going to Vanderbilt and turning on the tape, and it didn't take long to get our players' attention. Like Pavi is a really good player, and was like, okay, this guy is tough. He's competitive. They've got a great scheme. The tight end was a weapon. Like our guys, it was resonating with them quickly. To the outside world, it was Vanderbilt. To our guys in our meeting rooms, it was like these guys are really good, and they're going to be a challenging team to compete against because of the way they use the strengths of their team. And so I think that's the thing is that we got to show them the tape, because the records a lot of times in our conference, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose every week. And so, if there's 16 games, whatever, how many there are this weekend in the SEC, 16 teams, there's 8 games. There's going to be 8 winners and 8 losers. And over time, you start working your way into November, not everybody's going to be, 6-0. There's going to be a 3-3 or 2-4 team that's still a really good team. They just lost a couple of heartbreakers there at the end of the game. That doesn't mean they're not a good team. And so we got to show them the tape to reemphasize the quality of opponents that we're playing.
All right, and it's a good point. And when you do have, Sark has said this a lot, and the coaches, they have a high football IQ. And I know they've been sloppy this year. I understand that. But really, from across the board, they've got guys that are football junkies. Arch Manning is a football junkie.
Yes, he is.
At the end of the day, I think C.J. Baxter, I think DeAndre Moore, I think Trey Wisner. Trey Wisner is one of those guys, and on defense, Anthony Hill is that kind of player. Michael Taft is that kind of player. These guys love football, and that's a good thing, right? It's to what he just said. It can be. Florida on tape is 1-3, and they've lost 3 games in a row. Well, that should be easy, but they can watch the tape and say, that's a dude right there. That's a guy. The guy I have to block in their front, that's a monster right there. And that's the good part. And that's why I think, of all the teams last year, and we're talking about which team would you pick to be in the 12-team playoff, Texas understood the mission last year, and they didn't stub their toe. They didn't go to Vanderbilt and lose like Alabama did, right? They didn't, Alabama under first-year head coach Kalen DeBoer last year lost at Vanderbilt and Oklahoma, who weren't good teams, but they kind of went in thinking they already had the game won. I don't think Texas did that last year, and that's why they didn't have one of those. They lost to Georgia twice. They lost to Ohio State, who were teams that were arguably better than them last year, but they didn't stub their toe, and that's the key to getting the playoff, is to handle the teams you're supposed to handle. And if Texas does that, even if they lose one more game from here, they'll be fine, and they'll be where they want to be. That's why I don't think it's a bad bet to put Texas in there. Now, they've got to show it. Arch Manning has to be better. They've got to reach their ceiling and stay healthy. But I'll say again, I don't think there's a healthier or fresher team right now in college football than Texas based on how this month has fallen and how these games have gone.
Yeah.
And now they get a week off to get ready for a beat-up Florida team. I just think they have a really, really good opportunity here over the next 2 months of football, 8 games, to put themselves in a position to be in that playoff. And I think they're as good a bet as anybody.
If they can get out of the Cotton Bowl there in Red River, if they can be, at that point only still with 1 loss, taking care of Florida on the road and Oklahoma, at that point you feel really confident. Because even if you slip up one of those games, if it's in between the hedges, maybe even an A&M.
I wouldn't say losing at Georgia is a slip up. I think that's you're looking at that. They haven't lost in that building in 3 years.
Right. You lose to Georgia and Ohio State. Those teams have won some national championships in this time. Yeah.
Coming this weekend, while the Longhorns are not playing, there's a pretty good slate of games, right? There's a pretty, even like I was looking at like the 2:30 games this weekend. Like, obviously, we know Penn State will play and host Oregon at 6:30 Saturday night. We know Alabama will play between the hedges at Georgia in a hell of a game, just an absolute SEC slobber knocker. But if you go to the 2:30 games, I think the Ohio State at Washington game is sneaky good. Yeah. I think that's an interesting little game where Ohio State, who since they beat Texas has kind of been off the radar and haven't had to play anybody, now they go cross country 3 time zones to play Washington in a tough place, Husky Stadium.
DeMond Williams, he's a stud. He's a good quarterback.
And Ohio State will probably win, but I think that has a chance to be a sneaky good game, right?
Tough atmosphere.
Yes, it is. I mean,
loud.
Also at 2:30, LSU plays Ole Miss. LSU, after playing Florida, turning around, beating Clemson early with Brian Kelly, they play Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, who are off to this undefeated start.
They're going to the Grove to play Trinidad.
Yeah, or Austin Simmons might be back for them. Also at 2:30, Auburn plays Texas A&M. The Aggies are off to a top 10 start. They beat Notre Dame. But here comes this Auburn team who we just saw get robbed.
And they're fired up, I'm sure. Jackson Arnold and the crew are fired up.
That's a sneaky good. I mean, obviously A&M fans will be like, tuned in from the hilt. But that's a good football game where you're going to get to sit and watch 2 good teams in the SEC get after it. So Texas will be sitting back and watching all this. So here was the question of Sark yesterday: how do you actually watch football? Which I think is
an interesting question.
Because people know how I do, and I'll give you my answer. But here's Sark on how he plans to sit back, kick his feet up, and watch a lot of football this Saturday.
Like this weekend, I'll probably watch College Game Day. I'm an early riser, so I'll probably watch that. I think that's fun. That's great for college football. I don't even know where it is this week.
Where are they? Alabama? Georgia?
No, it's at Penn State.
And then I don't know the time slots of the games yet, but I'll know, hey, I'm going to watch Alabama, Georgia. It's going to be a great game. I want to see that game. I think it's this week. I don't know. I haven't seen all that. I think Ohio State, I think Oregon's at Penn State. I think that's obviously a great game for college football. I'll probably watch Mississippi State, Tennessee. I think that's this weekend, knowing Mississippi State's down the road. I think Florida has a bye, so it's not like I can watch them. So you just start watching the games. I think LSU is at Ole Miss this week, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that's next week. I don't know. But there's just great games. And I have colleagues in the profession that I know I'm going to want to watch, and because they're friends of mine that I want to watch those guys play. But other times it's just great games that are being played. And honestly, I'll probably watch it until the wee hours of the night. I'll be honest with you. I watched the end of the USC-Michigan State game last weekend.
Sicko.
Some of you probably didn't. I don't know, but I did. It's just that's what I do. It's what I get to do what I love. I love what I do. I'm a fan of our sport first, and so I'll watch as many as I can. I struggle with the 4-box. I'll be honest with everybody. I struggle with that. I got my ADD kicks in. I'm all over the place. I kind of need to put one channel on, and then I'm the classic guy that I hit previous channel. I go back and forth, and if you're in the room with me, I'd probably piss you off because I'm jumping around from game to game. It's just sometimes I have my iPad, that TV, and maybe a TV outside. All
right, so I'm with Sark. I got computers, iPads, but I love the quad box.
It's a little much for me. I'm full-blown ADD already, so yeah, it is a little much.
I am too, but I love it.
No, it's
good.
Why
maybe I'm misdiagnosing myself. Like the ADD helps because there's always something to see. Like I'm the opposite. Like and I watch for people who don't know, the quad box. YouTube, you can have 4 games at one time on your big screen.
I utilize it a lot.
So then when I get to a standalone Monday Night Football game, I'm like, where's my quad box? I need 4 things. I need stimulation. I need the 4 games on. Like, what's going on? Well, there's only 1 game on E. Well, okay, but give me a baseball game, maybe some news channel or something. I'm such a I don't know. I'm opposite of Sark there. Because I do multiple tablets, but like the early window of the NFL, I got 9 games going. Yeah. And it is like the perfect thing for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I love this. And then when I was only 1 game, I'm not nearly as satisfied. But I love the quad box. That is one of the great inventions of the last 10 years.
I'll say this. I was up till about halftime in that USC-Michigan State game. There was a really bad injury, and I hope the kid's okay. He got to get carted off. So that game was delayed a decent amount. That means he was...
Snooze time.
I mean, if he stayed up for that whole game, which I didn't, He was up till almost 2 a.m.
I'm
He's
just telling
sick.
you, if I had
He's
had
a
it on the
sicko.
if I'd had the quad box on, I would have stayed up because I would have been watching all four.
It wasn't enough. Yeah.
It wasn't enough
Not
because
much stimulation.
UTSA beat Colorado State. They hold them on
Yeah.
a 2-point conversion late in the game to win a game on the road in the mountains. I love this.
And then the Hawaii game was on the Hawaii TV
Right.
channel. I couldn't even watch it.
So Sark, you, us, we're all alike, right? We like watching as much football as we can watch on a weekend. There you go. We had a good game last night. The Lions smacking around the Ravens.